Let's make a mixtape. 1960s style. We have a BSR record changer, and of course if you grew up in the 1960s or 70s, very, very good chance that you know what this little guy is. Very good chance of that. This was how you stacked your 45s on a record changer. Now, a bit of history on the 45 first. So, of course, the 45s that you're familiar with look like this. They have a nice big hole in the center of them. They're 7 inches in diameter. Now, when RCA created the 45 in the late 1940s, early 50s, 1949 I believe was the year, they wanted to try and make the 45 incompatible with other record players. So they created that big hole. Well, of course, people caught on. The Chicago Webster Corporation certainly did. And they started to manufacture these little spindle adapters. You see, early record players, of course by Columbia and whatnot, had these big spindles. There's an obvious problem here when you try and play your record. No, I'm not actually going to subject this record to that type of torture. But, well, there's a problem. So, again, the Chicago Webster Corporation created these little guys. And, of course, then they were modernized for the 1960s a little bit. But they were a pain, and they are a pain. When I first got this, I did not have, one of these guys. So I had to use these that I would occasionally get in records. And, of course, that means you got to pop it into every single one you want to play. So you'd either had 2 options back in the day. You could either go buy a ton of these and put them in every single single that you owned, or you could pop them in every time you want to play the stack of singles. But that's very time consuming. So the best option would be to just buy one of these guys. It uses a ceramic cartridge, and we'll take a look at that in a little bit more detail here. That's the reason I call it a record chewer. It tracks at a pretty high weight because of that ceramic cartridge. It is a flip-over style, so you can flip it over and play 78s as well. I love that idea that it goes up like that, because it makes it really easy to change the needle. So that's partially the reason why it's a record chewer, is because it uses a really, really heavy tracking tone arm. There's also metal. But the other reason why it is because of this idea. Every single record that you play, it's at a different level. So in order to keep that tracking force consistent, they had to add in a nice little spring design. And you can adjust the tracking force using this little knob, and it's not the most effective thing in the world, but you need a scale then in order to know where you rank on the tracking force. And I don't have one, so I have no clue what this thing tracks at, but it's pretty heavy. This is all mechanical in here. When I first got this unit, it had some issues. I mean, it was kind of beat up a little bit. You got some cracks in the cabinet. But the record player did not work, and neither did the 8-track down here, and I will save that for another video. But the record player didn't. The action there was some problems with it. You see, everything inside of this is mechanical. So when you click that, it's mechanical. It's not electric like most turntables are. It's a mechanical idler wheel inside of there. So what I had to do with it in order to fix the thing was I pretty much just had to mess around with it and just fool around with everything on the bottom of there, try and figure out how the whole action worked when it cycled through. And after about 4 or 5 hours, I was able to get it working, loosened up, some dry grease and some other little problems, but I got it all working. So here we go. Let's listen to some records. I'm going to plug you directly into the output of the turntable or record player. So that's how the stacking function works on one of these good old, I guess you call them stack-o-matic record players. That'd be how it's done. Now there's one last little thing that I'm going to show you about this. It's a little trick that you may not have known before. I'm just going to mic it. If you, when the record is put down, if you pick this up, the record will never end. Watch. Okay, here we go. Just going to lift the needle up. And there we go. And of course, the way you do that is by not having that down. It's a mechanical thing that, trips that. Well, I hope that you enjoyed this video. And if you have any questions or comments about this specific machine, you can leave them below in the comment section. I do plan to make a few more videos with this neat little guy in it, maybe a review of the entire piece of equipment as well. So, thanks for watching.